YouTubers, Kate Johansson here with Fast Pup Dog Training, and I want to just talk about an exchange that I had on a Facebook group of dog trainers the other day after I posted my last video. And I had used the term balanced dog trainer to describe myself and a group of other people who are not just purely positive trainers, where we're actually out there solving problems with dogs that have aggression and things like that. And I had used the example of some new clients that have a medium to large breed dog who had attacked several times their little Papillon and caused some vet bills, pretty big vet bills. And the last time was just last week, and the husband had let the bigger dog out into the yard with the Papillon, so the big dog immediately went and attacked, and the guy thought that the little dog was going to die, and it was total chaos. And that's when they called me. So the term balance, I think I'm going to call this video balanced, because the term balanced is not my term. I don't like it. It's just, I don't know even know where it came from. It's popped up maybe, I don't know, a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and I just use it because it seems like there's some sort of an agreement amongst all the dog trainers that that's a good word to use. I use the idea of balanced or functional. I like functional a lot better because it's like functional medicine, where you're working on finding the root cause of things and kind of going back upstream to look at what might have precipitated the behavior. And anyway, every single trainer in the world has a little bit different way that they do it. I know this from competing in hunt tested field trials. Every trainer has a different way that they train their dogs, a little bit. Generally, the practices are pretty much the same, and generally people get pretty much the same results. And one day one dog will finish and do a spectacular job, and then the next day that same dog will do terrible, and you just keep coming back. You just keep coming back, and you just keep training, and you get your titles eventually. And some days are good days and some days aren't. But anyway, we all train with a little bit different style. The thing that's important, the series of questions that I got from one gal is like, what exactly did you tell the people with the dog that attacked the little dog? And she was concerned that some of us are making too big of promises. And I reassured her that I always tell people that there is no guarantee that we're going to be able to do exactly the same thing that they've been doing all along and turn the dog out in the yard with the Papillon. Oops, I didn't want to say that. Oh well. With the little dog, and have a different result. There is no trainer on earth, no dog trainer, that can change a dog's temperament. All we can do is give the dog some other options for the way they react. Train them to have a different response than just their instinctual, automatic, reactive response that they're having now, which is what's causing all the problems. And it's so complicated because these problems don't just come up by themselves. They come up because people are missing little things as they're raising the dog. They're missing the signs, and people are on autopilot, and dogs are on autopilot, and everybody's just reacting in their subconscious, organic way to everything without thinking about it and without being aware of what they're doing. And so there's no guarantee, because we've got to not only change the dog, but especially, number one, we have to change the people's behavior. And that's hard. I mean, so we're even though we're really good dog trainers, and we're good at training dogs, we're really coaches. And what we're doing is we're going and showing people how they can be different, how they can do different things, and it'll have a different outcome. But changing is hard. It's not easy, even if you have the very best coach. So had a lot of really, really good success. And one of the reasons that we use the tools and the protocols that we do, in my case, just about everybody I work with learns how to use an electronic collar. I need to build up the people. By the time I come in downstream, after all of the crazy stuff is going on, and it finally gets to a crisis point where they're willing to call somebody in and pay to get help, it's a mess. And I've got to come in and I've got to pour water on the fire, or somehow put the fire out. Hopefully it's not a grease fire, I know, but somehow get that fire out long enough, and then we've got to be able to have some success early on to give the people some hope, and to stop the dog from doing the crazy stuff they're doing that is getting themselves into trouble. So I never ever tell anybody that I can guarantee we can change the dog's temperament, and everything in the paperwork and everything says that the results are dependent on the people. So we're not training the dog trainer, quote unquote. That's a misnomer. We're not training the dogs, the people are. We're teaching the people, training the people to train their dogs, or to live with their dogs in a better way. We are not actually dog trainers, unless we're doing board and trains and bringing the dog in. And even then, board and train is not, in my mind, is not a very effective way of going about it, because you might spend a month with somebody's dog, and in the board and trains I've done, usually the very first day the dog doesn't do any of that stuff that they're doing over at their house, and they're just the greatest dogs. And I never even get to see what it is they're doing. And I can put a little obedience and work on some drills. But until I take the dog back over to their house and let the dog interact with all the stuff that's going on over there, I don't even get to see what the dog's doing and what we need to correct. So the most important thing here is changing the dynamic with the people. And so those people that signed up with me last week, I spent probably 2.5 hours at their house, and they hadn't even signed up yet. And I told them the first thing they need to do, because every time the dog goes and attacks the neighbor's dog that's inside their electric fence across the way, or attacks their own little dog, every time it's after the dog has been left alone all day, and the husband gets home from work, and the dog has had full reign of the house. The little dogs are now locked in their bedroom to keep them separate, but the big dog continued to have full reign of the house, and they have these huge windows, and the dog's just has all this anxiety and pent-up frustration and energy, and she's pacing, I'm sure, I'm just guessing, but I know this is what happens. She's got all this pent-up energy because she's been pacing back and forth along the windows, looking out at the neighbor's dog and thinking how she'd really like to go out there and just fix that dog's wagon. And it's because she's bored. She doesn't have anything else to do. And so the guy comes home, lets the dog out, shoo, there she goes, and she's like a firecracker just going off. So I said, you got to stop letting her have full reign of the house. Put her in a crate in a quiet room. And then when you take her out, make sure you have her on a leash, make her do some obedience before you let her have any freedom, and then let the other dogs out. Let things diffuse. And so I talked to the owner today. We haven't even had our first official lesson, but just off what I told them, they're so excited. because it's totally changed everything. Just that alone, things are going so much better. So anyway, as far as the balanced trainer thing goes, you know, I don't like the term. I never liked it. I was never comfortable with it, because it seems like we're giving ourselves some sort of a compliment that, like, we have this unusually perfecto balance. And, like, are we? Am I balanced? And are any of us totally balanced? My best advice to people that are looking for a trainer to help them with their dog is to look at the clients that have used them before, look through and see what people are saying. My testimonials go on and on. There's people that are just blown away, because I am not afraid to come in when there's dogs biting people, dogs attacking other dogs, dogs biting the little boy, resource guarding, all the different things. Those are all things that I'm totally comfortable fixing, and they're things that people do not understand what to do about. And a lot of dogs get put down for a lot of the things that I can help people fix, if they'll work with me and if they'll listen to what I'm saying, and they'll change their own behavior. So the best advice is to find somebody that matches up with what problems you're having. Hang on. So somebody just put up a post on Facebook, another trainer, pointing out that she's not the one to call for this stuff that I'm talking about. She doesn't deal with dogs that are aggressive, and she doesn't deal with issues that need to be, you know, how to get the dog to stop doing things. What she does, she's a sport dog trainer, and I don't even know what sport she's in. She's definitely not in the retrieving, hunting dog game that I was in. But nevertheless, she's out there admitting, and she said, even if you come to me for a sport that isn't even my sport, I'm going to be able to really enrich you with things I can tell you to do to help your dog. But if you come to me because you have an aggression issue, I'm not going to be able to help you. I don't do that. And so I thought that was great. So for me, if you come to me wanting to train a protection dog, like a Schutzhund dog, I'm going to refer you to some trainers I know that are really good Schutzhund ring sport trainers, because I don't do that. I have done a little tiny bit of it. I know enough, I learned enough from it to be able to use some of the techniques in fixing aggression. But I don't do that sport. If you come to me for help with retriever training, I've gotten to the point where I seldom take on a client for retriever training either, because it's a lot of work. You have to go out and you have to set up habits, and you know, it only takes 5 to 10, maybe 15 minutes a day to train a really amazing dog, but I can't do it for you. And again, if somebody wanted to do a board and train, I could train the dog, but then I get super frustrated because I give them the dog back and they don't know what to do, and they're not willing, most of the time, hardly ever, is somebody willing to actually learn how to handle a dog, and then the whole thing's just an exercise in futility. And so anyway, as far as the balanced trainer goes, I wish we could change it to functional trainer, but it's only balanced if you find the trainer that can help you do what you need help with. Okay? Kate Johansson, Fast Pup Dog Training, out.